Hi, this is Roy Grimwis, and you are listening to Kilroy Podcast.
Hello man, this is Bari Gul. So I'm still stuck here in Diraoud with a lot of problems. So I can see your face and I can think that we've been together for a long time, but I exactly cannot remember your name. So, and I think you're from Hadrian camp, right?
On the 12th of July, 2020, I unexpectedly got in touch with one of our former interpreters via Facebook, with whom I served in Afghanistan 13 years before. I decided to help him in his escape from Afghanistan, and during his escape, I got help from his best friend Wali. This is their story about their escape from Afghanistan.
The situation was getting worse in the area. It was not normal to live over there because for people like me, or some people, they were looking at me like they were playing with me like that why I'm still alive and why I still live over there. And also, there were people, they killed my brother. It was younger than me, but they killed my brother. And the situation was getting worse and worse. And I was really for breathing for the last moment of my life and didn't know really what to do. I jumped over the wall of my house because the house was facing to the Taliban and my door was open towards the Taliban and I couldn't go through the door. So I had to jump over the wall on the back side and make it to the ANA camp.
Between July and November 2020, several posts of the Afghan National Army fall into the hands of the Taliban. Until on November 12th, Deteriorating Bazaar finally falls after heavy fighting. This is where Barry Gul lives with his family. I kept an eye on the situation through Taliban accounts on social media, because I couldn't reach Barry Gul at that moment. After a while, I found a video of Taliban walking around at exactly the same location where our platoon fell victim to a suicide bomber, and our lieutenant Tom Chris died, 200 meters from where Barry Gul lives.
Uruzgan دولات دي حراوت ولسوالي د بازار چوک دي دا دي الحمدلله مجاهدینو خاص پر چوک باندې وس ولاړیو هغه کومنداني ده دا ټول بازار دی ګوري دا ګرد بازار دی دا د بازار چوک دی ټول ولسوالي په الحمدلله فتح سوله کوی راسه تو دوی راسه دا ټول منطقه فتح سوله یو د شامت پر بلخانه باندې وس دا تور درزاري دي الحمدلله کار برابر دی ټول مجاهدین صحیح سلامت تر دا وسه پر د چا پاتې حمله نه ویني سوي ټول جوړ روغ دي تیار دي دوی راسه دوی راسه وترګه شبکه ته چیرې زغلې دوی شبکه دوی شبکه هله
After many reinforcements in the area, the Taliban unexpectedly managed to capture Deteriorating Bazaar. Barry Gul, can you explain what happened?
Commando, special forces, and also some extra A&P and A&A. Some of the generals, they were all over there, and I was really feeling brave because everyone was over there. There was too much forces. But for some reason, something happened. A couple Taliban will just succeed, just for no reason. So the Taliban started from west side of Bazaar. They took the highest hill is Kalamurcha. That's what they call it in Lundiana. So they took that checkpoint. They took Zartala. So they came around the Bazaar, and they were trying to enter the house of Shah Muhammad. There was a big war inside a bazaar. People were sick. People were sick of firing those roller coaster rifle and a mortar and RPGs and Dishka. If you would listen to it, it was like a world war.
But there was a lot of resistance in Deteriorating, wasn't there?
A lot of A&A really did a lot. They resist a lot. The Air Force was coming. But the Taliban were also getting reinforced from Helmand, from all the 6 provinces in the south, from Pará, Nimrod, Helmand, Badghis, Daikundi, all those provinces. The Taliban were getting their reinforcement. They really wanted to take Deteriorating.
Can you explain us why Deteriorating was this important for the Taliban?
They couldn't do that before when Shah Muhammad was there. But in the end, the thing is that Deteriorating is historically really important to the Taliban because of Mullah Omar grew up there, Mullah Biradar, Mullah Fazul, all the big chain of command of the Taliban is from Deteriorating. Dadullah, and all the big leaders of Taliban. They're from Derawood. And they couldn't live there. They couldn't stay there because of Shah Muhammad. When he was dead, then the Taliban decided, like, now we go back our houses. So they started pushing really hard to take Derawood. So they took the center of Derawood. I was stuck just behind the bazaar. The Taliban were walking in the city of Derawood. I could see them on the big hills that they were walking around. They took a radio tower in Lundiana that was also made by the Dutch people. It was a local radio station in Lundiana that were working with some national music and news and some stuff. That radio station was taken by the Taliban. And they were everywhere, and they took every places, and there was no place for me to live.
How did you manage to escape the Taliban? Because at that moment they were very close to your house.
I jumped over the wall of my house because the house was facing to the Taliban, and my door was open towards the Taliban, and I couldn't go through the door. So I had to jump over the wall on the back side and make it to the ANA camp.
At this time, Barigul had sent his wife and children to Tarinkout, the capital of Uruzgan. He couldn't move by road because he had to go through a mountain pass controlled by the Taliban.
No, I couldn't join my family because people would get searched. All the trucks, all the cars would get searched for people like me or some other people working with the government. I couldn't join my family, so I told him to drive. And I was not sure if they can make it or not. Maybe somebody could kidnap my son or my family, but there was no idea any other way around. That was the only thing left, and that was the only choice. So I told him to drive to TK, so I made it to the ANA camp. The ANA, for some reason, they wouldn't let me to get into the camp.
At that moment, the only thing left in control of the government was the base of the Afghan National Army that was next to the location where Camp Hadrian was. How did you manage to get in?
But I had some document with me. I showed it to them. And they said, yeah, we know and we remember you. They let me in. And I had to wait for 1.5 months. And then after that, I went to TK. In TK, I had also another friends to help me to fly me to Kandahar.
How was it in 1.5 months in the ANA camp?
In that 1.5 months waiting at the ANA camp, I had to wear one pair of clothes in that 1.5 months. I didn't have any extra clothes with me to change it. It was a winter. It's a hard winter. I had to take shower with all cold water. Sometimes I had to get washed. And in that 1.5 months, like 45 or 47 days, I just had a pair of clothes on me. I had to wear that whole 41 or 47 days. No change. I could wash it sometime, but not really to dry it in the cold. Or you get sick, you don't get medication, you go to the ANA doctor and they say, like, okay, you're not a soldier. You get something, but not really like a soldier. So
yeah, that was my next question. How reacted the ANA soldiers at your presence in the camp?
There was just one soldier, one sergeant, ANA sergeant. He said, I remember you from the Dutch army. That time we've been operating together. If that guy wasn't there, I couldn't go into the camp. So that was the only guy said, yes, I remember you. Me and you, we've been working together with the Dutch army patrolling. So I know you can come in. He asked his commander, like, come on, man, let him in. I know this guy. And then they decided to let me into the camp. I had to wait there. They didn't have any place like a real place for me to sleep, or I just decided by myself, like, oh, okay, sleep next to this wall because everywhere. I couldn't blame them also because this time there were too many other forces from other provinces came to the ANA camp to sleep on that camp and do the operation. The ANA camp was a kind of full of people. But yeah, I had a tooth pain, but I had to afford it. There were no medication. My clothes, it was really dirty, but I didn't have any other clothes.
And the camp, the situation around the camp, how was that?
Yeah,
were they attacked or?
So every day, like 5 or 6 107 rockets, the Taliban were shooting in the camp, and it was landing inside the camp, outside the camp. I saw a lot of people got killed and wounded. I saw an ANA logistics sergeant lost his both legs with the 107 rockets. So you had to be sitting in the camp, like hiding next to a wall that the 107 rocket, like the biggest artillery that is coming to the camp. So you have to be hiding somewhere that you get survived. So every day, like 5 or 7 fires of those missiles or big rockets that were coming.
Yeah, and the big problem also was I couldn't reach you at that moment. You hadn't had any connection, so our communication went through Wali. Because Wali was got safely through the mountains in TK, and he could call you. You can get
he was talking to me, getting all information from me, and then he was passing that information to you because I didn't have internet. The only thing I could do is just to call inside Afghanistan. Sometime my phone will be without charge, no battery will low. So sometimes I ask the ANA soldier if I can charge my phone into his room. So sometimes they will allow me to do that. And then Wally would call me like, hey, Roy is asking for you. And if are you alive or safe? And I said, yes, I'm hiding here in the camp. I'm still alive, and just tell him that I don't have internet.
Hello, Roy. I am fine. No problem at my side. I'm okay. I'm at the ANA camp. I'm trying to get out as soon as I can. I'm just waiting for you guys to work on my flight to get out of this country.
And yeah, it's been hard days being through.
In the meanwhile, I was talking a lot with Wali. I get befriend with Wali at that moment. And Wali also did a lot to get you out of there because the only way out for you was with a helicopter.
Yeah.
You asked some guys to get on a helicopter. It was a little bit difficult, I think, because...
Yeah, it was really hard. I would see helicopters come to the camp like 2 or 3 times. 4 helicopters would come, but I was not able to get on those helicopters. They had to take their dead bodies, their wounded people, get their resupply. But sometime I would see some empty helicopters flying out, and I've been telling those people, why don't you put me in there? Oh, they would get really mad at me, like who you are. Sometimes, but some people help me, especially that ANA sergeant. He helped me and he put me in the helicopter. I finally made it to Turincot.
Yeah, I think Wali was also a part of it.
Yeah, Wali was also, he had some friends in the ANA. There was a sergeant. He was calling through that sergeant to another, like the fourth connection worked out for me to get me out. Wali was pushing some people from TK, and I was calling from Derawood, so somehow it worked.
Then you got with helicopter to TK?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I got with in the helicopter to TK. So I made it to TK, and then I met my family just for a short time because my family was staying with my brother-in-law for a short time. So when I met them, I saw my children. They were not taken care of like the way it should be, like all their hands were like bleeding, their lips broken down, and all their clothes, everything was like, I was even more worse than them. Like I told you before, I had to wear one pair of clothes 47 days. 47 days, something like that. And my family, I contacted my brother-in-law, and then my brother-in-law send your children to Kandahar, and they moved to Kandahar.
Okay, but why to Kandahar? What was the situation in TK getting worse?
It was very quick when Derawood was attacked, and then after that TK, it's like the situation was getting worse very quick. It's just like it's been just taking hours, not even weeks, just a couple days, and then the TK. So I moved to, sent my family to Kandahar. They set up with my brother-in-law, and then I had to wait for the helicopter again to fly to Kandahar, but some people helped me. I moved to Kandahar, and then I got a phone call from the embassy and email to come for the appointment. I went to the embassy. I gave them all the paperwork, the questionnaire form, all the other stuff. So I came to Kandahar. I was planning to come to TK, but everything was gone already. Everything was worse. And then you told me to stay in Kandahar if you can, to stay safe, because TK was really worse. This time, the embassy took a bit longer for the response. They were not responding any email.
And how long does it take when they respond again?
It took like, I think it's like 1 month already after responding, after the documents that I gave them, and then they had to respond. It's like took 1 month. And this time I was like, okay, it's not happening. So what else I'm going to think about? And I was thinking like what else I can do, where else I can go, because Taliban were everywhere. If I would think to go to Helmand, go to Kabul, go to Jalalabad, any province, they were moving into everywhere. And I was like, what I can do? And then, like, of course, talking to you every day, more than half days, waking you up in the early in the morning, like, okay, embassy is not responding. They are not answering my messages. You've been working hard on it too. And then finally the embassy said, yeah, you can come to the embassy again. So again, I went to the embassy, and they gave me the 3 passports of my son. They said you have to correct the names. The names of my son, like Muhammad Samar, Muhammad Omar, and Muhammad Yasar. So what was happened was the Muhammad was the abbreviation of M. So the guy in the passport agency, they just put it M in there, like M Samar and M Omar and M Yasar. And the embassy said, no, this shouldn't be M. It should be a complete name, Muhammad. Then I took the passports again. I took it to the passport office. It was really hard to correct it, but finally, with a lot of movement, a lot of running, with spending a lot of money on it, to pay a lot of people for do this and that. But finally I made it. I gave the passports to the embassy, and I came back to Kandahar again and wait. And then the last day, it was, I think it was like some end of March. They sent me an email to get ready for 7th of April of 2021 to leave.
So the 7th of April, It was the date to fly to Holland,
to Dubai, and then 8th of April from Dubai to Amsterdam. So that day when I received that email, I really didn't know what to do. What can I play with? I was like running around and moving around, like some cash in my pocket, buying all kinds of energy to my friends. And they said, "What happened to you? And why you are spending money for?" And I would like to keep this issue as a secret. I just told them like I'm happy just for something. So then I fly to Kabul, and my family is to drive to Kabul. So we spent a couple days, like 4 or 5 days in Kabul waiting. And then when there was a 7th of April in the morning, we were getting ready to get for the flight to the airport. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we moved to the airport, and then 4 o'clock we fly out. It was somewhere between 8:30 we made it to Dubai, and then we had to wait there and do a corona test 4 o'clock in the morning. And then at 8:05 we flew from Dubai to Amsterdam. So we made it to Amsterdam like 7:30 in the evening. So finally, with a lot of movements, a lot of runnings and messaging, calling, emailing, and sometimes you lose your hope, and sometimes I wouldn't think it's going to work, and sometimes when I were to call you, like this is happening, and then the process, it was like always starting over and then losing, starting over and then losing, but with a lot of movements, a lot of messagings. Finally it worked.
Yeah, you was very lucky to get on the plane.
Yeah.
Finally.
I couldn't believe it. Like when I got from Kabul to Dubai, and I was in the air, I was looking around like I'm not sure if that is me.
Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast, please tell your family and friends about it. If you want to learn more about this podcast, visit kilroy-podcast.com. Keep an eye out for Kilroy Podcast, because I'm working on part 2 of Escape from Afghanistan. Coming soon.